Guys, I figured it out. I figured out why women are voting for Trump.
Do you support our president? Look at these.
Ma'am.
Absolutely. Just tell me why real quick.
No, Mom.
I would love to tell you why. I think he's a true American. He puts God first. He loves our country. His children are amazing. And you know why personally that I voted for him? Because he's never had a drop of alcohol in his life. He's never had a drop of alcohol in his life.
That's restraint.
And any man that can go through what he's been through and never have a drink, I think he's amazing. He's an amazing man. He's amazing. He's so smart. He's genuine. Yes, he's tells it like it is. But I'm telling you right now, I think he has America true in his heart.
Yeah, you don't regret your vote.
No, I do not regret my vote.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, he was born to lead.
Yes.
Appreciate you. You guys have a great day.
Check out this clip and let's talk on the other side.
What I said is, if during your campaign, what you said appealed to me and it appealed to my Christian values more than the other candidate, then when it comes down to it, I chose based on my faith. I didn't really like either one of the candidates, if I could just be honest. But it was two people that had a chance of winning, and so I voted based on my faith.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, so in today's episode, you're going to be looking at a question that I feel like has been very interesting. And finally, at least for me, I feel like I'm getting a well-deserved answer, right? A lot of people kept on asking, why did people vote Trump? Especially, why did women vote for Trump, despite the fact that things like Project 2025 was coming out that said women's rights were basically going to be what exactly. But a lot of women, white women, went on ahead and supported Trump. So people wanted to get the psychological reasoning behind that. And today's episode, I feel like explains it all.
Right, guys. So let us watch what we prepared for you today, and then we come back and talk about it. You can also let us know what you think about this episode down on the comment section, and consider subscribing if you're new to our channel. Let's watch.
What are Christian values? I hear this term all the time, and I'm always confused because it's like, well, I vote for the Republican Party because of my Christian values. What are those values?
I just watched a conservative woman say that she's perfectly happy to give up her right to vote as long as it means that liberal women can no longer vote ever again.
Why conservative women vote against their own interests. There's a psychological reason for that, and you're not going to like the answer. Professors at High Point University studied 4,271 Americans to find out exactly why women vote for Trump. And what they found was disturbing. There are 47 million white women in America without a college degree. Over 60% of those women voted for Trump. And here's why. They felt threatened by other women succeeding. Their own lives weren't going anywhere. It didn't inspire them. It made them feel worse about themselves. And the easiest way to feel better was to make sure that other women failed. Without a college degree, your options are limited. Your status depends on your husband, your community, and the world staying exactly the way it is right now. So when other women start earning more, getting promoted, gaining power, it doesn't feel inspiring to them. It feels like losing. And the researchers proved it. They aren't voting for better healthcare. They aren't voting for lower prices. They're voting specifically to stop other women from succeeding. These women don't want equality. They just want you to fail. A conservative woman just said she would happily give up her right to vote, as long as it meant liberal women could never vote again. Let that sink in. Stop asking me why we can't just all get along.
I keep thinking about the white women who voted for Trump. And I keep thinking about why they did it, and this is the reason why they did it, in my opinion. Because they bought into his conspiracy theory BS and the people who uplifted that, and you know who I'm talking about. I keep remembering this comment that I got, I think it was the day before the election, from a Trump supporter woman who basically said, she was supporting Trump, and part of that reason was because of the fact that the Democrats are making people change their gender, in particular children, which is completely untrue. And she wrote, they usually don't do the operations at school. Usually. And y'all kept writing in and being like, oh, well, the Democrats are the party of Diddy. Even though Trump has just as close ties to Diddy, well, actually, he has way closer ties to Diddy than Kamala Harris. Didn't they both have lines in Macy's at the same time? And like, congratulations, you just voted against your best interest. Unless, of course, you make well over $300,000 a year, which I'm gonna bet not a lot of you do. God knows I don't. And I see you all unfollowing me and leaving me little comments say like, unfollowing immediately. Oh, wow, what a fucking loss. How will I survive without you, Serena Joy? And if you don't know who Serena Joy is, look it up, because that is who you are. And if you know me, you know we were already going over here. And so let me tell you, it's not slowing down. I'm just getting started. I got a good night's sleep. I just made myself a turkey sandwich.
We are all severely underestimating the amount at which white women have the capacity to participate in the patriarchy, misogyny, racism, bigotry, xenophobia, completely uninfluenced by their husbands and their fathers. There may be some white women that decided to vote for Donald Trump just because their husbands did, or they were intimidated, or they felt like their life was threatened if they didn't do so. But I'm telling y'all, the majority of women that voted for Donald Trump did it because they wanted to, and nobody was going to tell them otherwise. I grew up around these women. Okay, these women have just as much resentment towards minorities and immigrants as their husbands do. This is the same kind of women that are complaining about how many minorities are attending the public school that their child is attending. These are the same type of women that think that the reason they ended their own pregnancy was justified, and every other woman that wants to end her pregnancy is just doing it because she's selfish and slutty. 54% of white women voted for Donald Trump. Not every single one of them did that because their husband convinced them to do it. The vast majority of them did that because they wanted to.
Check out this clip and let's talk on the other side.
What I said is, if during your campaign what you said appealed to me and it appealed to my Christian values more than the other candidate, then when it comes down to it, I chose based on my faith. I didn't really like either one of the candidates, if I could just be honest. But it was two people that had a chance of winning, and so I voted based on my faith.
What are Christian values? I hear this term all the time, and I'm always confused because it's like, well, I vote for the Republican Party because of my Christian values. What are those values? Can you go into the Gospels and identify things from the life and teachings of Jesus that you have made a value, and how the conservative movement or the Republican Party aligns with those values? I think one of the biggest cons that has ever been enacted is the ways in which conservatives have convinced Christians that somehow the conservative movement is the Christian movement, that they are one and the same, when everything that the conservative movement advocates for is actually the antithesis of the things that Jesus lived and the apostles taught. But try telling a conservative Christian that, and they will go, well, I believe in family. Family is not a Christian value.
The reason why poor white people continue to support Donald Trump, even though his policy directly makes their lives even worse, is because they don't actually vote for politicians on the basis of policy. They actually vote for ideology. Donald Trump embodies whiteness and he upholds white supremacy. And for a lot of poor white people who have accomplished nothing in life, who have very little access to opportunity, upholding something that gives them worth, even though it's based on the one thing that they had no control over, even though it's based on a lie, is more important than fighting for a system where everyone benefits. And this is why there's always a sort of state of confusion when people say, how can you vote against universal health care? Why would you not want more money going to schools? Why are you okay with a politician blatantly taking your tax dollars and pocketing it, rather than using it for the greater good? When poor Europeans came to America, they received a benefit in America that they were not afforded in Europe, and that was whiteness. And all they had to do was abandon everything they learned in Europe, abandon their heritage, their language, their customs, their traditions, anglicize their names, and they were afforded every single privilege that they did not have in Europe. They could be entrepreneurs, have access to loans, send their children to good schools. They were finally on the top of the hierarchy. And I don't think people realize how much success and building wealth and having money is tied up into whiteness. It is a political term that was born out of capitalism. And so for these white people who have not actually succeeded under this system, whiteness means everything to them. This is why you have poor people who are so against systems like socialism, even though it would give them more power. It would give them more agency. That would actually require that they give up the one thing that they value the most, the one thing that gives them value. And if that means worshiping someone like Donald Trump, while he destroys Social Security, makes their lives more unaffordable, makes it more difficult for them to access healthcare, that is what they're willing to sacrifice.
I just watched a video, and it was really hard to watch. It was a woman who was explaining to us why she voted for Trump. And I get it. And so the breakdown is her daughter really likes cheese and crackers and pepperoni for a snack. And she buys these little cheese trays that have the cheese all pre-sliced. It looked like it was maybe Colby Jack or cheddar combo. And God, I don't even know if I can talk about it, but she packed her daughter's lunch this morning for a snack after, and she was wanting to eat a little piece of cheese herself, but she had to count the cheese. She had to count the cheese. She had to count the cheese. She just wanted to give her daughter a snack. And she can't even eat one slice of her pre-cut, pre-packaged Colby Jack cheese. She had to count it. Like, I don't even want to be here anymore.
Okay, I think I've finally realized why white people love Donald Trump so much. As I was watching the response to the blue wave yesterday and also the response to the No Kings protests. And I'm going to make up a term here, white plot against us-ism. It's a close cousin of white victimhood. And the idea is that when things go right for us, white folks, that's perfectly normal. That's how things should go naturally. But when things don't go right for us, it's like someone is obviously plotting against us. Usually, if you watch Fox News, it's George Soros. I mean, how a 95-year-old guy is able to organize every protest, every caravan out of Central America, everything that goes wrong for Republicans, somehow Soros did it. But the point is that Trump tapped into this white grievance so deeply. And at the core, it's a control thing. We don't feel comfortable submitting to any authority that's not white. Therefore, when non-white authorities rise to power, like during Reconstruction after the Civil War, like President Obama, we always see massive white backlash, which is what led to the rise of Trump in the first place. And this is a major thread that we trace in our documentary, The Sins of Our Fathers, Race, Religion, and the Rise of Trump, because until we learn to share the spotlight with people who are not like us, we will never break free of the cycle of hate in this nation.
Guys, I figured it out. I figured out why women are voting for Trump. So I posted a video about this a few days ago, and the amount of vitriol that I received was just, I should have probably just known better. But I got a lot of really valuable information from that. There were two types of comments from Trump supporting women. One was very much like this, kind of mean girl energy, state your facts, which I will get to. And the other one was very valid, well thought out, good points. And before I lose my Democrats, I have to say there is a big difference between a good point that I can empathize and understand where you're coming from, because let's not forget, I was a Trumper. I voted for Trump in 2016. I have been a Republican my entire life until 2020. I get it. I understand it. Because the thing is politics is not black and white. I wish it were. I wish it were right and wrong, and we approach it like that. Where I draw the line is ignorance, hatefulness, meanness, and just the overwhelming sense of I don't want to listen to anyone's opinions except for my own, and unless you're validating me, you're wrong. That's where I draw the line. I did that post because I don't like living in an echo chamber. I didn't go from a staunch Republican to a feminist Democrat by living that way. So here's the thing. A lot of the comments that were coherent stated things like the economy was better when Trump was in office. I felt like I could feed my family. Groceries were less money. Gas was less money. And if you look at it like that, point blank, end scene, it makes sense why you would vote for him. Absolutely. I can empathize with that, and I get it. I agree with you. It did feel like our money went farther when Trump was president. But there's a reason for that, and it's not because Trump was a fantastic president, and I'll get there. But first, I want to just talk about the overarching themes that I found in my comments. So the number one, biggest one, was I want to keep my children and my family safe. Also, totally valid point. How can I argue that? And the overwhelming consensus was they can protect their children by having a better economy and stronger borders to protect their kids from trafficking and drugs. How can you argue that? From a high level, that it's like no brainer, right? But see, here's the thing. There is a lot of things in life that look really, really great from far away. Like an oleander flower, for example. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they're freaking beautiful. But if you get too close to them, they're toxic. You have to learn, you have to understand their beauty, why it looks so beautiful before you go too close to it, before you ingest it, or before you freaking vote for it. And a lot of these points are very similar. For example, the economy is not created or destroyed with one president in one term. It does not work like that. It is economics 101. It takes years and multi-layered policies to create the environment of an economy that we can feel. So what we were feeling during Trump's presidency, yes, it did seem easier, lighter, our money went farther, but we were riding on the 8 years of Obama that we had. Just like right now, what we are feeling, that constricting tightness that we're all freaking feeling right now, that is a result, partially, not entirely, on Trump's administration. Let's not also forget, we are in a worldwide economic crisis here. This is not just the United States. The entire world is feeling inflation and is feeling the constraints of a bad economy. Just as a snippet of facts, Biden did have the American Rescue Plan, and that cut taxes for most small businesses. Child tax credit alone reduced child poverty nearly in half. So if that's what you're worried about, your children and their safety, Biden already was doing that. The reality is we have two options here to keep our children safe. Option one is electing people who want to make sure that when we send our kids to school, they're not at risk to being shot in the face. Also making sure that mothers can carry children without dying. Also making sure that this planet stays healthy enough to actually allow us to live on it and not kill us off. The second option is vehemently opposed to all of that. So you want to talk about facts? Let's talk about facts. Your arguments are because of the economy, human trafficking, drugs, all of that. So here it is. Most human trafficking cases, 75% actually, are done by individuals that the victim knows, not by illegal aliens. Secondly, 90% of the drugs smuggled into the United States are confiscated at the actual checkpoint borders, not in some random desert where we need to build a wall at. Now, do you know what the number one cause of death of American children are? Guess what? It's not immigrants. It's not drugs. No, it's pew-pews. That's right, more children, DIE, from pew-pews than drugs or trafficking combined. So if your real concern is children's safety, that should be your number one focus. And if you're still saying, oh, but the borders, I implore you to read Biden's bipartisan plan for immigration that got rejected by Congress, mainly because of Republicans, mainly because they knew that immigration was their strongest leg to stand on. And Lord forbid, the Democrats fixed the immigration issue. And then we got the credit for that. Holy crap. So they blocked it so they could push this stronger borders narrative. You want to talk about being emotionally manipulated? It's not my videos that are emotionally manipulating you. It's the government. And to be fair, that goes on both sides. Listen, I'm not a mother, but someday I might be. And I don't want to have to worry about my potential daughter or heck, myself dying in pregnancy. I don't want to have to worry about my potential son going off to kindergarten and getting shot at. I don't want to have to worry about my future potential daughter staying in an abusive marriage because no-fault divorce is illegal. And side note, a lot of my comments were about wanting to be able to protect their kids from other boys in the locker rooms and not being on all-girls soccer teams. And here's the thing. If your version of protecting your kids is not letting them play with other gender fluid kids, well then that's a whole other issue. But that just goes to prove my point that most of your stances are based on ignorance and hate. So if this election is truly about protecting your children, which was the vast majority of the comments, let's focus on the real threats, shall we? And actually help implement policies that make a difference. Yeah?
If you guys are disappointed by all the white women completely turning against their gender, let me tell you a little bit about women's history and how this is not shocking whatsoever. In 1960, no battered women's shelters, abortion completely illegal. Newspaper ads for job listings were men and women jobs, okay? The word sexism hadn't even been invented or coined yet. Not a single university offered a course in women's studies, and women's sports programs were small and underfunded if they existed at all, okay? And so the women were pissed. So it all started with Betty Friedan, okay? She wrote The Feminine Mystique, which was this book back in the 60s, was this book basically explaining the dissatisfaction of a married woman and just simply the American woman in general, okay? And this lit a fire in women like had never happened before, okay? You have to understand that American women, you think they're silenced now? Okay? So she started the National Organization for Women, okay? Now. Does the story end there? No, because they were racist, okay? Okay, so it's 1972, all right? And the Equal Rights Amendment is partying all the way up to, I'm just a bill, only a bill, all the way going to Capitol Hill. Equal Rights Amendment, what the f***? Did you know that women are still not equal in the Constitution? There's no amendment proving that women are as equal as value to men. And what's crazy is a man I know is going to say, why does it matter? Look what's happening. We're having our rights taken away simply because we are not seen as equal. Okay, it goes white men, the rest of men, white women, and women of color. Okay? Like, it's very obvious. Sure, it's very obvious. Okay? So, back in 72, Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman to run for president. Okay? She was so angry that black women couldn't use their right to vote because black women can vote. They can vote. But no, you think gerrymandering is crazy now? Go back to the 70s, okay? Gerrymandering was They made sure that black neighborhoods, their voices were not heard, okay? So, and especially black women. Hilarious if you think that black women are going to be able to use their voice, okay? And guess what? Miss Betty Friedan was a racist asshole. She was also a homophobe. Betty Friedan, racist homophobe. And so when Shirley Chisholm, who has basically the same motives, instead of combining the two, black women needed to create their own feminist movement because the white women were like, my pussy matters, but your pussy doesn't matter. Disgusting. Disgusting.
I'm pro-life. Being pro-life is not a biblical value. I'm for less government control. Less government control is not a biblical value. And wildly, whenever Republicans are in charge, all of a sudden that idea of less government goes out the window. Do you see what the Trump administration is doing right now? So when someone says to you that they are a Republican because they are Christian, I need you to understand that they are lying to you.
That's why. You understand me? Lying. It's not a bad time for her.
She doesn't need space. And while she might be into her career, what she's really saying is, get away from me now. Or possibly try harder, stupid. I'm sorry, Hitch is one of my favorite movies of all time. But I think this video is a perfect manifestation of how well that con has been laid. Because a conservative will look you in the face and say, I have to vote for the Republican Party because I'm a Christian. And I'm telling you that Jesus does not have a political party. And to believe that he does is to show that you have been finessed, hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about the videos we just played. It's quite interesting to hear, especially them being white speakers. I feel like it comes out differently, because if it was a black person saying this, white people would say black people talk without facts, right? And you see a lot of them coming to the realization that not everybody who goes out there to votes because it's in their own interest. Others are just voting just so they could bring other people down.
Right. And the fact that the first lady was speaking and she says that she voted for Trump because Trump is a true American. My biggest question is, what does a true American mean? What does it mean to be a true America? Because if I can remember very well, Trump was operating under the slogan of Make America Great Again. And for the most part, it has been accused of being a slogan that encourages racism, right? Because to Black American community, making America great again, it reminds them of the time where white people did not consider the rights of black people, and and furthermore, it reminds them of slavery, right? And to white people, most of them have been blatant in saying that for them, what making America great again looks like is the time when white people have power and control over a lot of things.
And a lot of things now make sense. Like, for example, when you talk about why white women seems to dislike black women, right? And just like the report we've had today from the white man who was saying that white Americans, women, are the most uneducated people in America. It's also normally said that black women are the most educated people in America. So you can see the reasons why they would be feeling the way they did, right? And like, there's certain reasons really when you ask why do you like certain people, you give and it makes sense. But today's episode, really, the reasoning of these people didn't make sense. There was a woman who was with her daughter there who was interviewed. Her daughter tried shutting her up, because I feel like the daughter knew what the mother was going to say, only for her to insist she wanted to do the interview, and she was talking about such insignificant things as the reasons why she voted for Trump. I tried really listening to catch one important reason why she voted for Trump, but she was like, because he's God-fearing. Is Trump really God-fearing? Someone who can sit down and talk about another human being whichever way he wants, right?
I do believe that we cannot question if he's God-fearing or not, because even thieves,
there's actions you do.
Okay, yes, there is action. There's actions you don't do when you're God-fearing, like truly. But do you know even thieves pray to God to have a successful robbery? Even witches pray to God for their portions to work. Yeah, so I believe he might be maybe God-fearing in his own way. It might not be in the way you believe. That is why most Christians in America, MAGA Christians, truly believe they're doing the will of God, and they can still afford to be racist at the same time.
Okay, let's agree to disagree. But if you asked me, God-fearing people don't act that way.
No, you and me, we know God-fearing people don't act that way. But what I'm telling you is, he might truly believe he's God-fearing, and he might be God-fearing in his own version. You get what I'm saying? As we don't know the level of God-fearing he has in him. You get what I'm saying? Yes. And also another thing I wanted to say is that for the woman who was speaking about how Trump has such good qualities, her daughter knew what she was going to say, and that is why she was trying to get her to not speak further about Donald Trump. She didn't catch the memo. And also, there's something very interesting that the lady said, and I didn't know that about Trump, actually. She said that Trump doesn't drink, and he has never taken a drink in his life. And I didn't know that. To me, he looks like a drinker, but I guess that is where judgment comes in. You can misjudge somebody. So because of that, I had to ask Google if truly Trump drinks or not. And this is what Google said, right?
Right. And the funny thing is that you cannot judge somebody's character because they drink or they don't drink. Because even in reality, you can find people who drink and they have the best qualities out there. You can find someone who is sober, who never takes alcohol, and yet they have the most rotten qualities out there. So that is not really a reason for you to be judging or using to judge somebody.
Right. So this is what Google said when I asked asked if Donald Trump has ever taken alcohol, right? So Google said Donald Trump maintains that he never consumed alcohol in his life. He attributes this lifelong abstinence to the advice and tragic death of his older brother, who was named Fred Trump Jr., right? Who struggled with severe alcoholism. And I understand
That
why
makes sense.
that triggered him if truly he's abstaining from drugs and other things. You get?
Right.
Yeah, so the
That makes
biggest
sense.
reason that Google attributes his abstinence for is his brother's advice, his brother's death, and his own personal policy to never drink.
Right. I tend to realize or notice that actually for people who have relatives or close people to them who struggle with alcoholism and things of that nature, they tend to abstain from
Not
alcohol.
all of them, but most people
a
who
good
don't
number.
drink.
Yeah, so that one is believable. And if that is the reason, it truly is understandable. But that is not reason enough for
think
you
that
to
he's a
give
good
somebody
man.
power because you're thinking that he's a good man, right? Let's assume that he didn't have a brother who struggled with alcoholism, right? It means we could have had a different Trump who would be drinking, right? And that means that we wouldn't separate him from his character just because he drinks. Just the only difference would be that he takes alcohol, but that is not reason enough for you to go and vote somebody who's gonna be making important decisions for a whole country.
Right. So guys, let us know what you think about this episode down on the comment section, and also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel, and we'll see you on our next episode.